Hi guys, I'm not really sure how well the Wi-Fi is going to hold up. What I wanted to say is that, I've been used to this kind of losing football for a while from the New York Giants, and I didn't for a second believe that the Giants were going to make the playoffs, and I've been firm on that belief. Um, it was a disappointing game out there in Philadelphia, and I don't really know, how to break this down. Well, the thing is, I didn't expect the Giants to run the table anyway, so for me it's very hard to get inspired. It's very hard for me to get inspired about football when the Giants have no chance of winning a Super Bowl or no chance of making the playoffs or doing anything special. And I'm not going to pin this loss on Eli Manning. And overall, I'm not completely incredibly disappointed in the team. I think that the Giants have really gotten better since. I think the Giants have really improved throughout the football season. And I was watching a lot of that first half, and when they were up 19-3, and I was disappointed that the Giants weren't able to play this type of football earlier in the season. And the way to win games in the NFL is to run the ball in the second half and to control clock. That's how you win football games at every level. And the Giants just couldn't run the ball in the second half. And also, Alec Ogletree, who was signed by Dave Gettleman, he's not getting the job done. I don't think Landon Collins is getting the job done. And you could free up just a lot of cap space if you don't sign Landon Collins again. So, the offense, had their moments in the game. I thought Eli Manning looked all right. And if they choose to go with Eli next year, I think the Giants will then understand the playbook better. I think that another run with Pat Shurmur, I think the Giants won't get off to a 1-7 start next year, and they're going to have an opportunity next year to maybe get to 9 or 10 wins next year under Pat Shurmur. I'm not sure Shurmur's an elite coach. It's hard to come to any conclusions. Let's recap all of the games that were played in this entire season. The first week of the season, we played a shitty Jacksonville team, which had and Josh Allen today was great. I have to do a film review on him today. Now, he was fun to watch. The first game was the Giants playing the Jaguars, and you didn't know that the Jaguars weren't a good football team, and the offense came out. It wasn't that great of a performance. Pat Shurmur, everybody's still trying to understand the offense. You lost a close game. Then we had high expectations going into Dallas, and we ended up losing to the Cowboys. We played terrible in that game, a horrific performance, and Shurmur, nobody knew what to do. Then they went out and they beat the Texans, and then they played the Saints at home. And I think the Saints game was, with the Eagles, the worst game of the season. People can say that the Giants were close in that Saints game. Hell no. They sucked against the New Orleans Saints. The offense was brutal in that game. From Eli to Pat Shurmur to the play calling to the defense, they got completely outclassed by the Saints. They weren't close to winning that game in the fourth quarter. Then they went to Carolina, I believe. They played great in Carolina. Could have won the game. Played the Eagles, played terrible. Played the Falcons, played well. Very inconsistent performances. Not an easy schedule, and an inconsistent performance. And then they went out and they got the Bucks. You got, a couple breaks in the schedule with the 49ers. They took care of business. Today you caught a break and you caught the Eagles not playing that well. You had them in the first half of the game. You could have won the game. Giants just don't know how to win. And when you're a first-year head coach, it's tough to teach your team how to win football games. Only the elite of the elite first-year coaches know how to win close games, and that's Matt Nagy and Sean McVay. And those are unbelievable players or unbelievable coaches. Jake, I definitely want to text you. Text my phone. You know my number on here. And hit me up and let's do a video together, no doubt about it. I think so. I think you can blame the game on Pat Shurmur. You can blame it on defensively not being able to stop Zach Ertz, not being able to stop the Eagles. But the Giants were 3-7. I quit on the team after the Redskins game, and it was kind of and I said, I'm not going to say it's my fault, but I quit on the Giants. I said this team is done and this team has no playoff hopes, and I quit. And I quit on the team. And I could have went to the game today. I could have cheered them on, but I admitted that I quit, and I admitted that I was done with this team at 1-7, that they weren't accomplishing anything for the year. And I don't regret quitting. And the Giants, a lot of these fans out there, which I can't blame you guys for being optimistic fans. It's great that you're optimistic and think positively. But there's a lot of people on YouTube, Cobb Pizzle, The Entertainer, guys that are Giants fans that believe that they could have somehow went 9-7 and won the division. And that flat out, I didn't see that happening at all. Not when you're 1-7, not when you have the Colts left on your schedule, not when you have the Cowboys at home. I didn't see it, and I didn't see them beating Carson Wentz today either. But you look at this Giants team, and this Giants team has been inconsistent this year. You had the Odell Beckham interview. This team hasn't been playing with desperation when they needed to. That Redskins game was a must-win game, and they came out and sucked. That Atlanta game should have been a necessary win. The Eagles game at home, the Saints games at home, those are necessary. You can't go 1-7 in the NFL. You never can go 1-7 and make the postseason. You can't lose 1 out of your 8 games. And Pat Shurmur finally reinstated Jamon Brown. We finally got to running the football, having a simplified offense where Eli Manning could get rid of the ball. And then in the second half, the Eagles pass rush just completely got to Eli Manning, and the easy little throws were not there. I will do a Josh Allen film review, and especially since you guys are asking for it, I will. It's just, this season is over. What I want to see from this team is I want to see Eli continue to play well. I think we can get to 6 or 7 wins, which is fine. I don't need to be picking in the top 10 this year when there's no Tuas or any special quarterbacks. Will Grier is not a terrible option in the second round. Drew Lock would be a really fun quarterback, but I see the Giants going after Will Grier, and I think that's the type of quarterback that Pat Shurmur will like, which is okay. And I want to bolster this defense. I want a very good linebacker. I want a Josh Allen or a Devin White that can cover. I want a Devin White that can tackle. And I want some more help on the offensive line. I wouldn't mind trading Odell for the Cleveland Browns picks. He only had 3 catches today. And I think that the Giants, are a competitive team. I think we're going to compete with the Bears next week, maybe beat the Bears. I think we could beat the Tennessee Titans. I think we can win some of these games going home. And I have to admit, I was pleased that the Giants are improving. I was pleased that they ran the football today. I was really happy that the Giants committed to running the football. I was glad Eli Manning was able to get in a rhythm. I was glad I was able to see the Giants rush the passer. And they had their chances. If Saquon Barkley got that holding call in the end zone, they might have won. If Odell got that penalty that was a holding call, they might have won the football game. If their defense could have gotten off the field after they tied the game, they could have won. It was a very close game. The Giants played a divisional opponent on the road with a great quarterback, with a really, really good head coach, and they almost won. And they played very well today. And this second half of the season, the 4 games, I like everything I see. I think Manning is playing better. Barkley is playing better. The offensive line is better. The play calling is more simplified. We look like a football team, and we didn't for the first 8 weeks of the season. Now, next week, we could look like a shitty team again, because that's what this team does. It's not consistent. It's never all there. But let's see the Giants go out against Mitchell Trubisky. Let's see that defense get to Trubisky and continue to get sacks. And let's see Eli Manning actually throw the ball quickly versus the Chicago defense and actually take it to the Bears next week, a team that we historically beat all the time when we play them at MetLife Stadium. Okay? Let's play the Bears and let's beat the Bears next week, and let's not let this game linger, and let's compete till the end of the season and not let this game absolutely linger. This whole 9-7 miracle mirage. I didn't buy it for a second. I quit on this team. I threw up the white flag, and I said this season was absolutely over. Now let's get to the main questions. If I was Dave Gettleman, do I keep Eli Manning for next year? And the answer to that is that you have Eli Manning, but you get a backup quarterback. You get either a Bridgewater, you work something out in the free agent market, whether it's Teddy, whether it's Jameis. You sign them to a cheap 3-year deal. So if Eli sucks for 4 games, you have a quick hook to completely get rid of Eli Manning. You let these guys compete in the offseason. You have insurance policy for Eli Manning. Or you can draft a rookie quarterback in the first 2 rounds, like a Will Grier or something in the 2nd round. And if Eli doesn't get it done, you put in Will Grier immediately, and it's a quick hook. Eli's been playing well enough that he can remain on the roster next year to me. The next thing I want to say is that the offensive line is getting some continuity. The play calling is getting better and better each week. And we started off the year really shitty under our first-year head coach, but it's another year for Saquon Barkley to get even better. And Saquon Barkley could be that good of a player that the Giants next year in this division could compete for a playoff spot in this division next year if they return the same guys, if they have the same continuity, if you get some more pieces on the defensive side of the ball, because it's going to be another year with Pat Shurmur, and the Giants are going to be able to build upon this second half run that they're going to go on this year, and they're going to compete. You better not mail it in. You better keep this locker room together, Pat Shurmur, and we better continue to see good products every week, because today wasn't a bad product. I'm not that disappointed to lose to the Eagles by 3 and beat them by 16 in a half of football. There were some real bright spots in this game, and you should take a lot of positives away. I am excited to see Pat Shurmur next year, because if this team goes 7-9 next year, there's no reason why Pat Shurmur should continue to coach this football team. When you look at the Chicago Bears, when you look at the Rams, if you hire the right hire, which is an amazing head coach, like the Colts did, like the Bears did, you can go and be a playoff team immediately in this league. You can flip the switch in a second. Matt Nagy flipped the switch of the Chicago Bears. They're playing against the Vikings and the Packers, and the Bears, because of Matt Nagy, are a playoff team because he is a great head coach. It isn't like the NBA. You can flip a switch in a second, and that is why next year is do or die for Pat Shurmur. He needs to get to 10 wins next year, or his ass is fired, and we're going to be looking for a new head coach going into the following season. I believe the Giants need to go linebacker, or they need to go interior guard. There needs to be better guard play on this football team. Jamie, I don't know. Winning in Philadelphia is the hardest game we're going to play all year. We never win there. We have a lot of trouble psychologically playing there. It's a very tough home crowd to go against. Carson Wentz has a lot of confidence against us. And Alec Ogletree and Landon are terrible matchups for their tight ends. Also, our offensive line and pass protect against Jim Schwartz and a defensive line, it's a bad matchup playing those guys every year, okay? They know us really well. With that being said, the Giants are 0-3 in the division, or they're 0-4 in the division. So if they get to 8-8, all the Eagles have to do is get to 8-8 and they beat us. And all the Cowboys have to do is get to 8-8, because 2-4 in the division is not going to be good enough to make the postseason. So we're pretty much mathematically eliminated from postseason play. But I want to see us beat the Titans. I want to see us go to Washington and beat Washington. I want to see us compete against the Cowboys. And I'd like to see us honestly go out and win next week, possibly win. We're probably going to be 8-point underdogs next week, but we can't fold. The Giants have folded this year. They folded against the Eagles. The Redskins game before the bye, Shermer lost the freaking football team, and they came out and were dreadful. There's been dreadful games, and you can't have dreadful games in the NFL and be a playoff team. You can't go to Dallas and put up 3 points and completely suck. You can't suck versus the Saints. You can't suck at home versus the Eagles and the Redskins. They've sucked too much this year, and you put yourself in such a big hole that I'm not devastated at the game today because I said the season was over anyway. I quit when we were 1-7, I quit. And I was a guy that was right there watching that Atlanta Falcons game. I was right there watching that Atlanta Falcons game. Another comment on Josh Allen. He broke the Buffalo Bills record in rushing today. Josh Allen did. And Robert Foster made some plays. Now, the Bills couldn't catch. Leonard Fournette completely lost his shit. He tried to choke out Shaq Lawson, which I never would have expected those two to get in that kind of a tussle. I love the crowd chanting at Jalen Ramsey, and I love that Josh Allen was able to get a little revenge on Jalen Ramsey. It was fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead, look at some film, watch some film of these quarterbacks, and I am going to get to work on these film reviews because I owe it to you guys. I didn't do any last week. Joshua Clark, thank you so much. You are one of the great guys that support it. That's why I do the show, man. That's why I do this. That's why I do this channel, is for people like yourself. So those are my thoughts on the season. And it's a shame. It's going to be a long off season. I can't wait till next year for sure. Anyway, great crowd on hand today. Gotta go ahead and start looking at these film reviews, start previewing next week's games. Busy Sunday still ahead, guys. A lot of work to be done on this channel, and wish you guys a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the 4 o'clock and the 8 o'clock games. Thanks for tuning into the show.